Okay, so our goal in this problem is to figure out the equations of any vertical asymptotes. So the function we have is f of x is equal to the cosecant of pi x. So let's recall like a common strategy, which is to basically figure out where the function is undefined. And a simple way to do that is to look where the denominator is equal to 0. So for that, let's recall that the cosecant function, the cosecant of x, is the reciprocal of the sine function. So it's equal to 1 over the sine of x. So then if we have the cosecant of pi x, we can say that f of x is also equal to 1 over the sine of pi x. And so then we need to figure out when is the sine of pi x equal to 0. If we can figure out where, for what values the sine of pi x is equal to 0, then we can basically have the equations of our vertical asymptotes. So now what may throw you off is that you have pi x instead of the sine of just x. But let's just first go back to like the standard sine function. So like the sine of x, so like sine of x, sine of x, and let's say we're finding where the sine of x is 0. So where the sine of x is 0, make sure you know your unit circle, because you're gonna struggle if you don't, and you're gonna have to keep on referring to it. But you should know that the sine of x is equal to 0 at the start of the unit circle at 0, and at pi, at 2 pi, 3 pi. So every pi radians. So half are like a full rotation. So this equation has solutions when x is 0, when x is pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and so forth. But we can also rotate in the negative direction. So we can write this as plus minus pi, positive and negative pi, positive and negative 2 pi, positive and negative 3 pi, and so forth. So these x values will give solutions to the equation sine of x equal to 0. So let's look at what about the sine of pi x is equal to 0. So all you have to do is essentially set what we have on the inside of here equal to these. So for example, you want to find when is pi x equal to 0. So pi x equal to 0, that'll be our first one. Or when is pi x equal to pi or negative pi? When is pi x equal to positive negative pi? When is pi x equal to positive negative 2 pi? When is pi x equal to positive negative 3 pi, and so forth. So you're probably seeing the pattern now. So let's first work with this first one. Pi times what number equals 0? Well, this will be that x is 0. That's pretty obvious. So that's one answer. It's one solution. Now, let's look at the next one. When is pi x equal to positive and negative pi? Remember, pi is the same as just 1 pi. So pi x is equal to positive and negative pi when x is positive and negative 1. So when x is plus minus 1. That's another solution. That's one, 2. And then when is pi x equal to positive negative 2 pi? That'll just be plus minus 2. And you're probably getting the idea now. When is pi x equal to positive and negative 3 pi? That'll be positive and negative 3. And so forth. So the solutions to this equation are essentially the values of the integers: 0, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2, 3, negative 2. So if you can just write that, in words, that's one way to express it. Usually they'll use like set notation, but one way you would probably see is, let me show you like how more formally textbooks would have it. I mean, a simple way to write it first, like let's say that you kind of aren't comfortable with like fancy notation, just put, the solutions will be x equals 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 3. Show that you understand the pattern, plus minus 4, and so forth.
And then most teachers, professors will, accept this because, you're showing that you understand how the solutions for X are like behave. Like maybe another way you could say for values of X where X is an integer, where because the integers by definition are the positive and negative whole numbers. Maybe even this, you'll say maybe like X, element integers, they usually use like a large Z to represent. So maybe you see something like this, but it's all the same. They're all saying the same thing. So just make sure you understand it and just know what way your teacher or professor would like your answer to be expressed as.